Derby, a small town in rural northeast Tasmania, has been attracting worldwide publicity recently because of the local council's initiative to build a mountain bike complex of trails. However, Derby has had its share of publicity before. It is the site of the Briseis mine, one of the richest tin mines in Australia, and the disastrous 1929 flood that killed 14 people. Until recently, the existence of the flooded Briseis mine in Derby was largely unseen, even to local residences, because it was screened from view by trees. In this video, we will explore Derby and the Briseis mine hole by walking the new mountain bike trail around the flooded mine. We start by crossing the Ringarooma River on the new suspension bridge, which gives access to the Briseis mine hole. We pause midway over the river to look back at Derby in the past. In the 1920s, we'd have seen this huge hole excavated in the bed of the Ringarooma River to get to the tin-bearing sediments. Note the bridges without a river, which has been diverted. Derby at the turn of the century was a thriving mining town. There were 3 hotels, and regular coach services connected Derby to Scottsdale and Launceston. The town had a full complement of services, including banks and shops. Tin mining had brought prosperity to Derby. Donald Fraser was one man who was instrumental in adding to this boom. He was the engineer in charge of building the Briseis water race that brought precious water to feed the water nozzles needed to separate the tin from the sediment. Water was channelled from as far away as Ringarooma by building siphons, flumes and water races to the Briseis mine at Derby. Here it was used to blast away the overburden that covered the tin and to excavate the bed of the river. After crossing the bridge, the track parallels the Ringarooma River, giving glimpses of Derby on the other side. In the past from here, we had seen the huge pipelines that carried the water from the Briseis race across the Ringarooma River to the mine.
They've done a good job up here, haven't they?
Yeah, they say this.
Rounding a corner, we get our first views of the Briseis mine hole and the mine face. In the early 1900s from here, we would have seen the complexity of the Briseis mine operation, with diversion walls, pipelines and the active mine face. At the mine face, a dangerous place to work, we would see miners using water cannons to move huge quantities of overburden. As we are passed by cyclists on the lower track, we come to the old machinery shed hidden away in the trees. This was once a busy workshop where mine machinery was made and maintained. A similar shed can be seen in this 1902 photograph. We continue on the lower bike track, skirting the river, with glimpses of Derby and the Dorset Hotel. In this 1925 photograph, we can see the two-storey hotel and the Ringarooma River in the foreground. Just 4 years later, we see the Dorset Hotel partially flooded from the 1929 flood. The flood caused tremendous damage to the town. Houses and buildings were washed away and lives were lost. A series of torrential cloudbursts inland from Derby occurred on the 4th of April 1929. Over 12 inches of rain fell in the catchment area. This caused the water to overflow the Cascade Dam to a depth of 1 metre. Eventually the Cascade Dam burst. Attempts to warn the town failed, and a huge wall of water and debris raced down the valley towards Derby. As it thundered down the valley, tearing a huge gash in the ground, it carried logs and boulders, some weighing up to 70 tonnes. In one place it actually carved straight through a hillside, creating a new channel. Tons of debris were carried down the valley, smashing into houses and property. Mr. Inverity's house was washed off its foundations, and even as far away as Marina, houses were moved. We are now approaching a small area of rapids near the Derby picnic grounds. It was here that the famous Derby River Derby was held for many years.
Number one! Come on! Alright, jump on! Sorry, don't look at the camera. You get it through. Get over there, fast water, get across to the fast water. This way, boy. Keep paddling all the way, guys. Just paddle flat out. Let's go. Good time. All the way, come on.
Going well, fellas, going well. You done it, fellas, you done it. They're first, aren't they?
Second.
Geez, that was close.
This early 1900s photograph shows the original Derby sports ground. The Briseis mining company diverted the river through the sports ground to access the tin deposits under the original course of the river. In return, they built a new sports ground on the hillside east of Derby.
Like the way it works, before you know it.
Looking down on the Briseis mine hole, you can see how the trees alongside the Ringarooma River screen the mine hole from view in Derby. These next two images give you some idea of just how deep the mines had to go to access the tin-bearing gravels and sediment under the river. Today, all is calm on the lake. The track builders have cleverly used the basalt overburden rocks to stabilise the edges of the bike track.
They've been busy.
I can see great possibilities for the many and varied uses of this lakeside environment. Kayaking, paddleboarding, even model boat sailing, or just having a picnic. It's only from the air you can fully appreciate the size of the old Briseis mine excavation. This panorama shows the original single-storey Dorset Hotel. The new school, built in 1898, and the middle or commercial hotel, and the top pub or Federal Hotel. Enjoying the view?
Good place for a picnic.
Yes, I think back in the 80s when they were talking about the tin trail, I tried to convince them to put a bridge across, but of course there was no bikes then. In these photographs, note the position of the school and bank. The river has also been moved for the fourth time. These large mounds are piles of basalt rocks that once formed a thick layer over the tin-bearing gravels. They had to be removed using black powder and gelignite. Here you can see the water cannon undermining the basalt overburden until it came crashing down to be removed by small horse-drawn tipping trucks on steel rails. The water for this sluicing came from Duns Creek near Ringarooma. It was brought by building 45 kilometres of fluming, siphons, water races and pipes dug into rocky ground. Over 140 men were employed between 1901 and 1902 in constructing the race. It was finished in just under 15 months. Here the water is carried down from the hill behind Derby, past the commercial hotel and across the Ringarooma River to the mine. The enormous pressure from the water race gave the energy needed to blast the hard basalt boulders and mine thousands of tonnes of tin-bearing gravels. The race carried up to 24 million gallons of water a day. Not only did the miners have to uncover the tin-bearing gravels, but they had to move tons of rocks out of the bottom of the mine. To do this, they used rock elevators driven by water pressure. As we near the eastern end of the mine hole, we pass large piles of basalt rocks, stripped from the mine face. Now we come to a new construction by the bike trail builders. This area will be ideal for a number of activities. Just imagine a quiet summer evening with a fire pot spreading light around the area. From above, we can see the sheer magnitude of the mining operation. A whole hillside has been sluiced away. Now with a covering of greenery, in the 1960s, it still sported the bare scars of mining. As we leave the last vantage point viewing the Briseis mine face, we soon complete the circuit and head back to the suspension bridge. The building of the bridge across the Ringroom River has opened up a whole new area to public access, and it will be interesting to see how it will be used. Today in Derby, you won't see hard-working miners carting barrel loads of tin ore to be processed. The sluice boxes and miners cleaning up are long since gone and will probably never be back. Instead, you will likely see many mountain bikers in Lycra waiting to go on the bike trails or relaxing after some of the world-class rides.
An 80-odd K experience in northeast Tasmania.
In 2015, the opening of the first stage of the Blue Derby mountain bike trail has given Derby a new lease of life.
Coming along to experience the first 20-odd Ks. So thank you very much for that.
Some parts of Derby's main street and shops seem to have changed little. But there is a change in the atmosphere. Derby has regained part of its vibrancy and optimism of the past, when tin reigned supreme and wealth was dug out of the ground. Now there has been an influx of the new, younger generation, looking for excitement, challenges and thrills. Older buildings are being renovated to cash in on this new economic boost to the district. New buildings are going up to accommodate the huge influx of mountain bikers and tourists who want to experience world-class challenging trails and walks. Hotels that were once finding it difficult to survive have found a new lease of life. Instead of blacksmiths and coaches, we see bike shops, cafes and buses servicing the biking fraternity. Derby has changed from a sleepy backwater town resting on its past to a bustling centre for the younger generation. Hopefully they will come to learn about just how important Derby was in its mining days and how it contributes to Dorset's economy both past and present.